Welcome, it's July 13. Once again, I'm in this nice, cool room. I find it actually becomes time-wise easier to record yoga at noon. That's my lunch break. And then I post it later on after it automatically does whatever processing it needs to. Anyways, let's come just to standing nice and tall. Wiggle, move, whatever you need to do. Stretch out your spine. Soften your knees gently, bring the bowl of your pelvis so that it's level with the floor. And you'll feel that your lower back flattens out a little bit. We often carry far too much forward pressure in our lower back. It's bent too much, and our weight is over our toes or over our heels. We want it to be over both. Your head is balanced over your shoulders. Shoulders over your hips, and you feel even weight across the balls of the feet and the heels. Do something we haven't done for a while, which is a moving warm-up. So spread your feet hip width apart, or a sun salutation, or at least a sun salutation of form. We're not going to go all the way down to the floor. Maybe later we'll introduce that as we work on the upper body strength. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, come back to warrior one. Exhale to warrior two. Inhale, right arm comes over, extended triangle. Exhale, right arm comes down. Inhale, come to warrior two again. Exhale, release it. Inhale, come to warrior one. Exhale, come to the front. Inhale, exhale. Let's see if I can do that again on the right side. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, warrior one. Exhale, warrior two. Inhale, extended triangle. Exhale, warrior two. Inhale, warrior one. Exhale, step to the front. Left side. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, warrior one. Exhale, warrior two. Inhale, right arm over, extended triangle. Exhale, warrior two. Inhale, warrior one. Exhale, step to the front. Right side. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, warrior one, left foot back. Exhale, warrior two. Inhale, extended triangle. Exhale, back to warrior two. Inhale, back to warrior one. Exhale, come back to standing. And rest. I should notice that I should get a longer t-shirt so I don't have to expose my belly button to you. Anyway, sorry about that. It's a little bit of a warm-up. We did a bit of a flow. We didn't do any back bends, but we're going to bring them in later. So first of all, we're going to do triangle pose. We all know this. I'm not going to talk you through it. You do it on your own. With the left foot forward first. Exhale, bend the front knee, drop the upper arm. Inhale, come to standing, triangle on the right side. Release, look down. Inhale, come up. Walk it out. Let's do extended triangle. We know how to do this. The right foot's going to come back. Long pace. Bend the left knee, look down, make sure you can see your big toes. Your hips are open. Your left arm comes across the left thigh, right arm comes overhead. If you'd like to, the left hand can also come down to the floor. Release. Look down. Inhale, straighten the left leg. Step to the front. Don't forget to breathe. It's hard to breathe in that pose, but you've got to. And on the right side, step back with the left. Nice and open. Bring the right arm across. Turn to the side. Left arm stretches overhead, and if you like, the right hand comes to the floor. Here, the shoulder, the knee press against each other to help with the rotation. The left shoulder loosens, rolls over the body. And exhale, release. Inhale, straighten and stand to the front. So as we continue, this is, I don't know, month 3. We've been doing this. I'm adding longer holds. I'm adding more complicated poses. I'm also demonstrating some deeper versions of common poses like we just did there. The arm across the thigh or the hand all the way down to the floor. You obviously stop at the movements that are within your capability and your range and on your own, because I can't be there, I can't watch what you're doing. You have to be careful for yourself, not go deeper than you can. And if for some reason today you're not feeling as vigorous as you were yesterday, then back off. There's no reason to push yourself when doing yoga, but there's lots of reason to pay attention to what you are doing. So we'll do a forward bend, but I'm going to demonstrate something here as well. Some people have a lot of trouble with bending down and bringing their head beneath their heart. Well, what can you do? You can bring the floor up. So I've got this handy table here beside me. I can bring my heel onto it, turn my hips, square them, and then I'm getting here a full forward bend. My head is still higher than my heart, and I'm feeling this stretch. So right now we're going to work this. I'm going to do this, first of all, on the floor. So I step back with the right foot, the left foot comes forward, I lean out over it, I pull my left hip back, hands to shin, hands to ground. So those of you that have no problem with equilibrating your blood pressure, feel free to do this version. It's a little bit easier because gravity is helping. For those of you for that's a little bit difficulty, you can have a chair, you can have a table, you can have anything. Again, pull the left hip back, lean forward over your leg and grab a hold of it, wherever you can, shin or further down. Now you're getting the same one-legged stretch without the problems of balance, without the problems of equilibration of your blood pressure. So I'm just going to come down to the same pose on the floor, and my commentary really, it's the same for everybody. The main thing is to pull the left hip back, to square your hips with where your fingers are falling. If you look at me here, my fingers are in line, my hips are in line with that. If you're standing on the ground, try also to root the big toe of the front leg. If you're on the table, that's sort of not possible. And to come out of this in either position, you bend the front knee, lean yourself forward, and then come up to standing. The bent knee protects the back when you come up. Step forward with the right, or step off the table, and then step back with the left, or put the right up onto a table. Pull the right hip back, straighten the leg, or keep it slightly bent as you come down. Hands on your shin, or to the floor, or wherever. Or you hold onto your anchor if your foot is up, and then pull the hip back. Everybody pulls the hip back. Try to root the big toe again. Eventually in this pose, you're supposed to be able to round your back and kiss your shin. I'm hoping to get there. It's not that far away anymore. Almost. To release, bend the knee, shift your body weight forward onto that foot, push your weight up, step forward, shake it out. Whew, a little bit lightheaded, I was down for a little bit long. Roll your shoulders. You're wondering, yeah, let's do a balance pose. Let's just do tree pose. We all know tree pose. Remember, feet are sort of in line, or you've got just a toe on the ground, or you're just sort of waving, trying to find your balance. Or you can take your right foot, put it on your shin. Whoa, good thing there's a table there. Put it on your shin or tuck it up higher. Please do not put it on your knee. You don't want this sideways pressure directly on your knee. And stand up tall. Don't look around. I'm looking around. Find a spot to focus on. Pull the right knee back. Tuck the tailbone under slightly. Your hips tend to rock forward in this posture because of what the right hip is doing. And then if you like, you can lift the arms overhead, tuck the tailbone under again. And there comes my belly button. Yikes. Sigh. And let's release. Do the left side, lift your toes, spread them wide, anchor the foot. Spider probably brought you from home. You know, you don't need to. There we go. Living in a tent makes you immune to crawling things, crawling across your body constantly. I sit there with caterpillars, with spiders, with daddy long legs, flies, mosquitoes, all sorts of things. I was never afraid of insects, but if I were, I'm sure all that fear would be gone by now. Although I was talking to a friend yesterday who got bit by a brown recluse spider. She doesn't recall whether it happened in her home or at her cottage, which is in the Perth area. Didn't know that they were found this far north. Oh, your bite. Turned out to be pretty nasty. And release. Let's come down to the floor. Let's do an upward dog, a downward facing dog. Let's see if we can come to low plank. Hang out there for a moment. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, come halfway up so your back is long, legs are straight. Bend your knees, plant your hands to the floor, come to a high plank. Your hands are underneath your shoulders. As you come to low plank, you lean forward so that your forearms stay vertical. You sink down till you almost touch the ground, but not quite. Inhale, push even farther forward and up. Exhale, downward facing dog. And let's come down to the ground. Cross your ankles, roll over them. We're doing some pretty vigorous stuff, so let's do something easy and more relaxing than vigorous. Bring the soles of your feet together. I'm not tucking my heels in all the way to my hips. They're about halfway there if I look at the length of my forearm. Hold on and just lean forward. Try to round down or start flat, coming right over your legs. Push your knees out to the side. And then eventually round a little bit and maybe plant your chin on the tips of your toes. Take your time. In this pose, you really have to consciously relax your inner hips. They will tighten up. The more you lean forward, they will resist this. And if you don't relax them consciously, then you won't get a big stretch out of them. Inhale, push your way back up, lean back, extend your legs, roll through your hips. Across your ankles, roll over them, come onto your knees, and sit tall on your heels. So I'm sitting on my heels. I'm not sinking yet all the way down to the ground. If this is uncomfortable for you, you have many options. You can roll a cloth and put it underneath the end of your tibia. That takes some pressure off the ankles. If the problem is your knees, what you can also do is you can roll up a cloth, stick it underneath your sit bones. That lifts your hips up from your ankles a little bit. Obviously, you can do both. At some point, you're going to end up stacking yourself so you're tall like that, but that's fine. If you have a yoga block, you can also put it in between your ankles and sit on that. That raises you a little bit higher. It depends on how you put it on. There's a high edge, there's a medium edge, there's a low edge. Put on the medium or the high configuration, then you can sit a little bit higher than your ankles. But otherwise, we're just going to stretch our ankles, stretch our shins. And my toes are obviously not pointing out to the side. They are pointing as much as they can straight to the back. In reality, they point to the back and then they curl in a little bit, and my big toes are touching, even though my heels are not touching. So there's a little bit of a sickle shape to my heels, but it's probably impossible to avoid. I think that's just the way that the joint is constructed. Now, if you want to deepen this, you spread your knees, you spread your ankles, your shins are still parallel, and then you hover over the ground. Or maybe you come all the way down to the floor. Sometimes you see people in yoga classes, they move their calf muscle away a little bit to give some more space to the knee, and that sometimes works. So you stay here and you start to feel stress in the knee. The moment you start to feel stress, you come out. The stress is not necessarily bad so long as it's not pain. It is a stretch and you will feel something in your knees. You can also lean back a little bit and put more weight on your fingertips so there's less on your knees. You're still getting a stretch, you're still getting that lengthening in the front of the shin, but there's less concern for the knees here. My weight is now further back. Less pressure on the knees. Gives them more time. More time for the thigh to loosen and stretch. And eventually, as you sit here, you notice that your sit bones are slowly starting to touch the floor. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but at some point. Obviously, this can also be done one-legged. So one leg is straight out, the other one is bent behind, and you lean more onto the left leg or to the right leg, depending on which one is straight, to relieve some of the stress and some of the stretch from the bent leg. So this looks a lot like some of the postures that we've been doing before, where the focus is stretching the front of the thigh. There you saw Monique lying straight down on her back. You saw me doing the same with one leg out. Here, that's not really the goal. Here, the goal is to stretch the ligaments and stretch the joints a little bit so that my hips can get down to the floor. And then to release, you take all the weight off. Cross your ankles, sit back, straighten your legs, and roll through the hips. Let's give ourselves a twist that also is a bit of a hip stretch. The left ankle comes around to the right side. You know the routine, you know where on you that right foot can go, and then pull that knee across. Take your arm and make a flag out of it and pull it across. And you may not be doing much twisting. So I'm right now just leaning forward a little bit. I'm still looking to the front. My right hand is behind me and my body is turned to the side, but I'm not yet giving myself a twist. I'm working on the hip. I'm using my arm and I'm pulling that leg over. I feel that right in there. And once I can look down and see that my elbow is in line with this knee, then I can turn to the side. My right arm or my right shoulder wraps around and I get a little bit of a twist. I'm focusing on the hip right here. And I make sure that sit bone can stay on the ground. My right hip is not rising up into the air. Release. It's quite intense, so let's give ourselves a counter stretch. Let's do the other side. Right ankle comes around to the left. Left foot goes where you know it can. Make the flag. Left hand right in behind. Push the knee. So that can also work if the knee is on this side. It's not going to go quite as far. And then once I've set up my legs, while I'm still looking forward, then I turn to the side. I'm not turning all the way around. That would be very intense for the back at this point. Obviously, if you're more flexible, you can do that. I'm just turning to the side, focusing more on the hip. And let's release. Give ourselves a counter twist. Good. Do some windshield wipers, so leaning back on your hands. Drop one knee down, the other one stays more or less vertical, and back and forth. This releases the SI joint by moving it. So if you've got SI joint issues, you might feel them here. If you don't, then this is comfortable. If you do have SI joint issues, this is probably not terribly comfortable. Good. Let's do a forward bend. Just a simple forward bend. Legs are straight. Hands are on thighs, knees, shins, wherever you can get them. If you can reach down, grab your toes, then you grab your toes. It's not better or worse. What you want is a stretch, and wherever you feel the stretch, that is good. By that I mean no. Whatever position you are in where you feel a stretch, that is good. You don't want to feel a stretch in the back of the knee. So not wherever, but whatever position you are in. Stretch out through the crown of your head. See if you can get your belly onto the end of your thighs. And then just hang out here. If your knees are slightly bent, that's always okay, especially if there's pain in the back of the knees. You never want that. As things loosen, you can change your anchor point. You might reach further down your feet. You might reach further down your shins. Still lengthen through the crown of the head. And inhale to release. We'll do the opposite stretch. This is quite a vigorous exercise for the shoulders. If you remember from the last time, the first thing you want to do is you want to set up the shoulders. So open up the collarbones, pull the shoulders behind you, push firmly into the floor, lift the collarbones, and when that's all set and ready, then you lift your hips. Drop your head back if it's comfortable. Don't sag through your shoulders. Keep pushing into the floor. Keep holding and release. When you release, keep that strength in your shoulders. Don't sag down. So everything stays strong. The hips just tilt down. Always be very careful. It's often when you're coming out of vigorous yoga poses that you hurt yourself, because you just sort of let go, and then suddenly all the support that you had is gone. Roll your shoulders. We're going to lie down now for corpse pose. Grab the clock so that I have some idea what time it is. But we're going to roll down nice and slowly. So lean forward, put your hands on your shins, and then just keeping your hands on your legs, you slide backwards. Take your time. Try to keep your heels on the ground at all times. Our last core exercise for the day. Come down slow. Your lower back hits the ground. You can slowly start to unroll. Arms come to about chest level and then they fall open to the sides. Head comes down to the floor. Wrists, hands, and relax. The feet roll open. And everything was just now stressed, and so it can release and relax, especially your face, the tongue, and the inside of your mouth. Slowly bring some feeling back to your fingers and toes. Roll through your wrists and your ankles. Inhale, reach overhead. Stretch. Give yourself a big morning stretch. And tuck in one knee. Tuck in the other one. Roll around on your back. Extend your right arm as your feet come to the floor. Roll over to your right side. Use your arms as a pillow. And then push your way up to seated. Cross your ankles. Chances are the way that you've just crossed them is the way that you normally do. So switch them around. Put the other shin in front. Hands on knees or in your lap. Notice right now how your head is. Notice how your lower back, what curves you have in your body. Now inhale, stretch the crown of the head up, lengthen. Flatten all those curves out and then release. Come to a nice high sit. Collarbones are still proud. The head is balanced over the shoulders. Tailbone is slightly tucked under. Natural curves in your back, not exaggerated ones. Inhale, bring your hands together. Namaste. Thank you very much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed it.